Welcome back to the All Out NRL Fantasy Podcast. Round 4 is in the books, and it's up to round 5 already, Dor. We had a funeral probably this time last year, mate, to celebrate the death of NRL Fantasy, and I don't think we were at that levels after the weekend we just had. But, geez, it was a tough round, mate.
It was a tough round, but look, we didn't go too badly, Cord. Scored 874 points. Yeah, look, it could have been a bit better, but we wanted to keep, the likes of Cleary and Ponga in our side. We did move on Connor Watson, so that could come back to bite us over potentially we should have moved on maybe Gilbert over Watson. But look, yeah, 874, some great performances from our men in the middle. 65 from Yo, 134 as captain for Payne Haas, and 85 for May. I think last week, Cord, we got in... I believe we got in...
We got in Haas, didn't we?
Haas and Marky Mark, I believe. Yep. So, yeah, not too bad. Not too bad from both. 44 from Marky Mark and 67.
Yeah, we take that, mate. We push on, and I know the season goes around in a flash, and those split decision moments and those split decision trade decisions is really at the end of the day comes down to whether you're coming first or whether you're coming 100,000th. So I think we're doing pretty good at the moment.
Yeah,
and
still in the top 10,000.
Yeah, so we'll push through.
We fell a bit. Last week. Obviously the big loss was in round 3 to round 4 without Payne Haas there. Yeah. But look, in the top 10K, we're going to be moving in the right direction this week.
I agree, brother. Let's get straight into TLT for round 5. Sir. Raiders Sharks on the Thursday night. And the Raiders back row Morgan Smithies returns on the bench after missing the Cowboys game. So Josh Papali'i goes to the siding side and Trey Mooney drops to the reserves. Do we see potentially some minute interruptions for Nicholson here? No,
I think the way that they played last week, I don't think Nicholson will be affected by Smithies coming in. I think Smithies will play in that middle role with Papali, Tarpany, and Horsburgh. Share that. And then, look, Mariota and Sasangi were in the middle as well last week. So, yeah, I don't think that's going to affect Nicholson too much. Look, he's not even a sell anyway.
No.
Look, there's really the best news, I guess, from the Raiders' perspective is you don't have to worry about, Tamale losing his spot to Hopewade because unfortunately...
That's a win.
Hopewade has done his ACL in New South Wales Cup last weekend, I think for the 3rd or 4th time. So, unfortunately, he's out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, shocking news for Hopper.
Yeah, but great news if you're a Tamale owner, you don't have to worry about that threat. Obviously, it would have been great if we knew this from the start of the season, but look, it happens, and we wish Hopper all the best.
Yeah, the Sharkies, not much news there. They're actually playing, well, you just don't know where the Sharkies are going at the moment after a disappointing loss against the Dogs. Nico Hines is probably the main talking point, 48 points again, so averaging 56 for the year, and if you're someone like me who picked him up this week, their run does sort of open up, so you're sort of hoping that the Sharkies come good in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, 100%. Look, Nico's going to get you around 40, 50 every week. It's just you'd like to see a few more 60 and 70s in the mix.
Yeah.
But look, the only news for Cronulla is Hiroti comes in after Ito went down with that hamstring last week. G0's been in terrific form as well, continuing on the back of a stellar season last year. And then Hazelton, he's been named again to play. Didn't play last week, so hopefully he returns this week from the back injury and he takes Talakai's spot because he's out with a HIA.
Massive news for fantasy coaches is that the GOAT of fantasy, Nathan Cleary, is back. I hope everyone held him because he is up against the insipid Cowboys this weekend. You'd think that they'd go more right this weekend after refusing to go right down that right-hand side at all last weekend. It was good news, though, for that person on the left, Thomas Jenkins, who scored up a nice point. I think it was like a 40-point score there. So he might be a potential sneaky buy this week, Thomas Jenkins.
Yes. It's close between him and Katonga for mine for cheapie of the week. I might have to lean with Jenkins with To'o out for a month, and then
he got 53 actually.
Yeah, and McLean dropped. McLean was dropped for Jenkins last week. So if you think of it, he could have it for longer than the month as well. And look, Tulagi still hasn't been named, even with that omission to To'o. So McLean's come straight in, Cord. So look,
297K. I think it's a
Jenkins
steal.
Jenkins is a great great option, especially if you need a wing fullback. He's going to generate some money. Really busy player, Cord.
Yep.
The only other changes there for the Panthers, if you don't mind, Cord, is just I just said McLean's coming in for To'o, and then Scott Sorensen obviously got that concussion last week. So he's out, and IPAP moves into the back row. And Lindsay Smith comes into the starting side at prop, and then Eisenhuth's just the new name on the bench.
Yeah, no news for the Cowboys either with
Same
them
17.
going with the same 17. I'm thinking throw the C back on Cleary this week. I reckon he's going to be back with a bang. And I know it's risky not going on Haas, but I think Cleary's just going to be back with a bang. He'll get you. I'm going to tip 60 plus.
Yeah.
For Cleary.
Well, look, I think Cleary will have a really good game, but in my opinion, it's just either May or Haas.
Yeah.
They're just too good at the moment. You just have to be playing both of those as captain. They're just really safe. I think Cleary can get back to his old ways, but for mine, I think it's a real big risk first game back from injury. So
yeah, fair enough, mate. And the big news coming out of TLT, mate, is that Latrell Mitchell is back, but in the centre jersey as Dalian leader at the moment. Jai Gray keeps his spot at number 1, which is ridiculous to think. Yes, he's been good, but has he been as good as Payne Haas and Terrell May? No, but that's up for another discussion another time.
Yeah, well, May Haas is definitely. I think he's like second or third.
Yeah,
Haas. So it's not like he's too far away.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I got some theories about this one.
Give it to me.
In regards to why Latrell's come back at centre, I'm thinking that they've put him at centre due to the fact that one, he's coming back from an injury, which has a high re-injury rate. 2 is that Campbell Graham is actually out at the moment. And then Alex Johnson's basically like a week-to-week proposition with his rib injury that he suffered last week. So I'm thinking that they're going to get Latrell, ease him back into action at the centres. And then when Campbell Graham comes back, I'm thinking that they either move Campbell Graham to the wing if they're going to keep Latrell at centre. They're doing well, and Gray's killing it still at fullback. Or that when Campbell Graham comes back, Latrell will move back to fullback, and then Campbell Graham will go into the centres, and then Jai Gray will go like 14.
Let's run through the logistics. Latrell Mitchell, 800K, playing centre. What is the average at centre? Well, the last time he played there was 2019 against the Rabbitohs for the Roosters.
Yes.
He's got a career average of 44 at centre. So the sample size in the last 4 years is complete to none.
Yeah.
Do you risk it at 800K as a pod? Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, if you got balls, go ahead and do it.
Yeah. I'm 100%. If you want to send it, I still think he could go really well at centre. In my opinion, I think he's actually the best centre in the game. He's terrorised Queensland multiple times at
I think
centre
he's going to kill it.
So I think he's going to kill it, especially against an inexperienced Marky Mark and Robert Toya.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not going to be good news for Toya.
No,
or
it's
Marky
not.
Mark. Could be some deductions with missed tackles.
The other news is from the Rabbitohs land is that Lachlan Hubner returns to suspension at lock, which is great to see.
News,
great to see.
news.
Thank you, Wayne. Look at Wayne looking out for the fantasy coaches right there. So if you held him, thanks to Wayne, he's back in the starting side. Should rock up 40-50, so that's lovely.
He just loves Hubner, Wayne does. He brought him down from Redcliffe, and then he's spoken only but praise for Hubner in the first few rounds. So yeah, I think the only concern is when Aiken comes back, which could be in a couple, like next week or the week after, with potential that Jai Arrow could go to lock. But look, we'll see what happens there. But for now, we really enjoy Hubner back.
We do. Moving on really quickly, hooker Connor Watson returns, should be back playing an 80-minute role. So if you also held him, congrats, he'll be back playing 80 minutes. The other news, really fantasy-wise, is that Nat Butcher takes over from block from Victor Radley, who, if you do have him in your team, sell him because he's always injured, that poor fella.
Yeah.
Eels Dragons, mate. New recruit Dylan Walker joins the bench for the first time for the Eels, which would be good to see him come in to try and give the Eels some sort of momentum heading into their season. Nothing really fantasy-wise for me for the Eels. They're pretty irrelevant.
Yeah, the only thing that we might have to maybe watch or look at this week is Mr. Smith for Parramatta, Riley Smith getting the start for the Eels at hooker. He got 27 points last week. He's got a break even of 12 this week. I wouldn't say I would go out and buy him this week. I think you watch him. I think your Jenkins or your Katonga or your buys, like your cheap buys that you need to get in this week. But look, with Dylan Walker on the bench, I'm not sure if Dylan Walker is going to be playing hooker. So there is a real chance that Riley Smith could play 80 minutes. So look, if you want to go him this week, you want to get in 2 cheapies and you really like it, you see the upside, because I think he's the Parramatta 9, and Lussick and Hands haven't been that great. So look, he could be 80-minute hooker for like the rest of the season or for a while. So, but for me, wait a week.
Agreed, mate. For the Dragons, prop Emo Gula has got a 3-game ban. So if you got Toby Couchman last week, you're absolutely laughing because he joins the starting side in the front row alongside David Clemmer. Couchman has been scoring really well this year, average of 55.3, 48 last week in a pretty tough game. So another good pod there if you want to go down that pod route.
100%. Yeah, he didn't get as many minutes, Couchman, last week as he has thus far this season. Only played 44 minutes last week. I think it might be something to do with the weather last weekend out at Cogger, I think it was, against the Storm. So, yeah, for me, Couchman's still a great buy. In terms of Dragons news, in terms of, basically, like you said, Cord, it's only really Gula. Gula's out and Blake Laurie comes onto the bench. Look, the best news is Hamish Stewart got cleared of that facial fracture that we found out this afternoon. So that's great news for people like myself, and I think you as well, Cord, that picked him up last
100%.
week. So he should be back. He had a few less minutes, I think, due to that injury as well. So I think he should be back to around that 40-minute role this weekend.
Good to hear, mate. For the Titans-Dolphins game, Titans... Look, really not much news other than Tino's going along really nicely. If you want another pod,
Verrills is out.
Verrills is out.
Yeah, Verrills is out. Unfortunately, with the hip injury, and Isaac Tino's brother Fasul Malawi is also out with an ankle injury. So
nothing relevant there.
Yeah,
really.
no. Jumping Jolliffe is back, and Sean Mullaney, I think, makes his NRL debut from the bench. So
Congrats, Sean. I know he's listening.
All the best this weekend, Sean.
For the Finns, mate, Tommy Gilbert is out suspended, which means I think Max Plath moves from the lock to the
lock.
to lock. Tom Gilbert sell.
Yes.
For me. Look, we were weighing up the decision whether to keep Gilbert one more week or get Payne Haas the week that he got 106. We decided to keep him. It has not paid dividends whatsoever. So he will be gone from our side this weekend. Sorry, Tom. Good player. Just timing's not right.
Yeah, great bloke. Just, not right, unfortunately. Yeah, Lemuelu comes into the bench, comes into the starting second row, should I say, to where Plath was, and then Plath takes Gilbert's spot. Plath should go pretty well this week. But otherwise, look, the Finns really need to get a win on the board.
Bloody oath.
Just quickly, Cord, I know I should have butted in, but just in terms of the Dragons game, man that made his debut last week was one Dylan Egan, and he worked his absolute backside off.
He was a worker.
46 points last week. I don't know if he's going to get as many minutes as he did last week, because I think he benefited slightly from the injury to Stewart. But look, he's definitely another great cheapie option this week with your likes of Kite Katonga and Tom Jenkins. Cord.
Happy there.
On to the
Bronx Tigers. Good win for the Bronx on the other week. Pickering moves into the signing side for Jaden Hunt, so good news for Goskowski there. For the Tigers, Luai's suspended. One of the worst trades for me in Supercoach history ever, that one. Adam Dewey has been named to play despite suffering a groin strain, so that really rubs salt into the wound there for me.
Yeah, and Jarrell Skelton's still out as well, Cord. So Luke Luai comes onto the wing for the Tigers. Just quickly, I really wasn't a fan of this man's game, but I did end up getting him. But look, Alex Seyfarth, he's been great the last couple of weeks. I think Galvin started to give him a bit of rock. And he's
got a line break on the weekend, so that was lovely.
Yeah, so he's been really good the last couple of weeks. So if you held Seyfarth, good on you. I wouldn't say go out and buy Seyfarth, but if you if you have him, definitely hold him. He's going to make you a bit of cash over these coming weeks. But really, that's it in terms of the Broncos. Hunt comes in on the bench with Ricky getting a 2-week suspension. So, like you said, Cord, Goz is going to benefit the next couple of weeks, and they should probably play either close to 80 minutes. I'd say, in my opinion, he'll play the 80 minutes, and Pia Cora will play like 60, I reckon, and Hunt will come on. So, yeah, definitely hold Goz. I don't know if you go and play him in your 17.
Oh, it's risky.
But
it's always risky.
He'd be a great, in my opinion, a great player to loop.
Yeah, great player to loop. I agree.
To loop. Yeah.
Seagulls, Storm, Tom Turbo, look, injured again. I got him back to Supercoach. I know the fantasy podcast, but you just hate to see it. Lehigh Hopewadi slides to fullback. Ruben Garrick's been really good if you got him this year and spent up in your centres, but really nothing else there for the Seagulls.
Yeah, just Falalo comes in, like you said. Hopper moves to the to fullback, and Falalo comes in on the wing. Everything. Nathan Brown's actually starting at prop this week with, I think, Josh Alloway. He's got a shoulder injury, so he's unfortunately out. But look, that's about it. Sipley comes in on the bench. Ethan Bullmore, just want to give some flowers to Bully. He has been absolutely outstanding the last month or so. Like, definitely, as we said, not really a fantasy or super coach buy because of the minutes he plays, but like NRL wise, he's been a real super sub for Manly and providing really good impact. And also, just quietly, I think DCE's handled himself really well and played very well on the weekend.
Yeah, played well.
So, onto the Storm, Cord.
Yeah, Storm, Hughes is back. So if you bought him or hold him, he's back. Wishart will, again, call the shots. Hang on, hold the phone.
Yeah, Hughes has been named, but he's named in jersey 22. So I reckon that's going to be something to watch. He could come in and play, be a late inclusion, but it's still Wishart at the moment. I think that it's still going to be Wishart this week, and Hughes will come back next week, I reckon. Yeah. But definitely
Storm
watch
has
our
such
late
a good
mail.
run.
Yeah, watch our late mail, our stories for late mail. Or if it comes in earlier than that, we'll try and do a template or something for it. But, yeah, for now, I think Wishart will definitely play. But that's the same really Storm team. I think Valepu dropped out late last week, but I think, that's basically it. Hopefully they bounce back. This should be a great game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's going to be a good one. And this one at the end is going to be a good one as well. Bulldogs, Knights, Tupanua serving suspension. Curtis Moran comes onto the bench. And Jacob Carraz, who we had last year, is listed among the reserves. So good to see Carraz back for the Knights. Just one change for them. Leo Thompson returns. So if you help Ponga, hopefully he goes well against a pretty good defensive dog side this week.
Yes. So just quickly, in regards to this game, look, I'm going to go out here on a limb and tell you that this week's buy of the week by an absolute nautical mile is Thomas Kant. If you don't get Thomas Kant, you're not playing fantasy correctly because this man is going to benefit from Lucas still being out for another month. And this man is going to make some serious amount of money. He's been he played his first game last week not last week, the week before last, and scored 76 points against the Titans. Break even of 8, 503K. I think he can get to 650, 700K before Dylan Lucas comes back. That's definitely one for me, in my opinion, that I'm
505K, or 503K?
Cheap anyway, 500 not cheap, but mid-range, 503K. But if he's getting 76 points, and that didn't come with any tries or anything like that, no line breaks, no nothing like that. It was 56 tackles, 1 tackle break. He lost points from missed tackles. He had an offload, 1 lost error, 2 turnover tackles, and 152 run meters. It could have even been better than what it was. So for me, in my opinion, that's a good one. Another thing is, as well as I know you've probably seen it as well, Cord, is look, Preston had an absolute blinder last week, and a lot of people, in my opinion, are just maybe a bit too recency biased, that just because Preston had an absolute blinder last weekend, he's a must-have to get into your side this week. Look, Preston's a gun, and I really love Preston, but look, the problem is the Dogs have the bye next week, And as much as he got 77 points, that was his first real good game of the season. He's got 42, 53, 59. So it hasn't really been that outstanding.
No.
I would, in my opinion, rather go a Kant that's going to benefit, and you have him for like 3-4 weeks, and then you can upgrade to someone like a Preston or one of those falling guns like an Angus Crichton or a David Fafita cord.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I'm all for this Kant shout.
Yeah.
56 tackles, 1 tackle bust, 1 offload a hand, 152 metres gained.
There's no second rowers named on the bench. Pierce Paul's still out for another week.
It's some stint.
Yeah. So
I like it, mate. We might leave it there. Buy hot sell with Dawn, Mick, and the rest of the gang tomorrow to be released on Wednesday. I'm hoping like you're liking the podcast at the moment. If there's anything else we want to incorporate, we did get a lot of punishment videos, and we are going through them right now. There are some absolutely diabolical punishment videos, and there's some that we look at each other going, we can't post this.
yeah,
This is ridiculous.
No, we'll try and post some, as well as I think Bence will come back with another lovely edition of the team review with some with some lovely videos, memes of that. So that should be really good. But yeah, no, let us know if there's anything else. Let us actually, you know what? Let us know in the comments. I've actually been thinking of doing something like a YouTube live on a Monday night of like a recap of like the weekend that was, and then like a fantasy review, touch on like some rankings and stuff like that, rather than, and then just this podcast can just be straight to the point, TLT, few discussions around that, etc.
I like it.
So yeah, that could be definitely something. Let us know in the comments if you like that idea, potentially like probably a Monday night, because all the scores and everything are all finalized, and we can touch on ranks and stuff like that, as well as talk a bit of NRL as well. So let us know. But otherwise, we will see you next week for round 6. Happy multicultural round. And yeah, thanks for listening.
See you then.